Very civilized.
Oh, that's a wrap? Anyways, wait, I got one for Smo. It ain't a rap, dog. Relax. UFC motherfucker. What's up, Smo?
I gotta ask you this. You stopped the guy with the 8-fight win streak. Do you feel like Sean Strickland did enough to get the next title shot in the middleweight division?
Yes, I fucking did. I don't think this thing works. I'll stand up. Yes, Judge, did enough. Listen, you don't want to see any of these motherfuckers fight that little Chechen war. You want to see the last fucking American in the sport going fuck that guy up. And that's what's gonna happen.
What did Sean Strickland do to beat Khamzat Chimaev in
Anything I fucking want, dude. Anything I fucking want, dude. I'll bring a fucking goat. He'll get distracted. Anything I fucking want. I feel like we need to bring the belt back to America. We need a real fucking American to represent this fucking organization.
So, a fight with Khamzat at some point somewhere in the world over fighting at the White House?
Well, first of all, guys, I'm not leaving this country ever again. I'm an American. I'm not leaving, I'm not traveling, I'm not vacationing, I'm gonna die on this fucking soil. So it will be in America. Where the fuck that is, I'll be there. What do you want next, Sean? I don't know, man. Chimaev finally gets off the bench, dude. I'd like a piece of that little Chechen whore. But you never know with him, bro. You never know that guy, but that's what I want. I kind of thought you started going a little wild. And like, no part of you slowing down, but you need to get a little bit more sloppy. But like, no part of this man was slowing down. He was a fucking savage.
Well, Josie, just a second, okay? Obviously, they're not winning. Fluffy just won 8 in a row. Do something. You're a former champion. What do you want next, Sean?
Listen, Sean Strickland wasn't playing any games heading into this one. While other fighters get caught up in the circus and all that promotional nonsense, this man was locked in with laser focus. Behind the scenes, he was grinding through preparation that most people never get to see. The kind of work that separates champions from pretenders. Everyone in the fight game could feel something building. This wasn't your typical weekend scrap. When you had analysts going back and forth, some thinking Strickland's relentless forward march would crack Hernandez wide open, others betting on Hernandez's wrestling to drag the former champ into deep trouble, you knew something special was brewing. This fight had evolved beyond just another matchup on the card. It became the ultimate test for both warriors. The kind of moment that defines careers.
Our champ, Sean Strickland!
So Strickland starts digging into Anthony Hernandez's record, and what does he find? More than just wins and losses on paper. He starts connecting dots that nobody else was talking about. Sure, Hernandez had been steamrolling opponents left and right, basically smothering guys until they broke. But Strickland wasn't buying the hype at face value. He started piecing together a different narrative. What if some of those dominant performances weren't quite as clean as they looked? Maybe opponents were dealing with injuries nobody knew about. Maybe training camps fell apart behind closed doors. Maybe these fighters showed up already compromised, nowhere near their best versions. So when Fluffy would completely overwhelm someone and leave the audience shocked by how one-sided it was, Strickland just nodded. He thought he'd cracked the code on what was really happening.
How do you know that about this guy? Like when do you know that about a fight?
I mean, that's how he's made his career, just like laying on guys. You know, but it's hard. Like, he fought Roman Dolidze. And I mean, Roman Dolidze did his camp for us. He had his, like, again, talk about injuries. He hurt his back. He didn't even train really at all that fight camp. So, like, you know, Fluffy goes in there and mauls him, and everyone's like, oh shit. And you're like, me, has been in with Roman Dolidze for 10 weeks. I'm like, this guy didn't train at all. Like, he couldn't. His back was. But, you know, Roman had the idea that I'm just going to go in there, I got good jiu-jitsu, and I'm going to armbar somebody, and then lights come on, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So there is, like, it's kind of weird from insight, from knowing guys he fought, like Roman, where you're like, well, I know you felt like a badass, but, like, you should have seen what we've seen for the last 8 weeks. You would have been like.
Now here's the thing about Strickland. Those championship rounds that break other fighters, that's his playground. Going 5 hard rounds isn't some nightmare scenario for him, it's Tuesday. But preparing for Hernandez specifically, that required a completely different approach. Strickland knew damn well that Hernandez's pace wasn't normal. You can't just simulate that kind of pressure in regular training, so he went extreme with it. He started cycling through training partners like they were disposable, going maximum effort until each one was completely spent, then immediately grabbing the next guy, round after round, partner after partner, until his body adapted to that suffocating rhythm. Because if this fight turned into a war of attrition in those later rounds, that's exactly where Strickland wanted to be. In the pain, in the chaos, in the place where most fighters break.
That was a layup.
You still, how do you feel about going into those 4th and 5th rounds knowing it's going to be miserable? You welcome that, or you just like,
Yeah,
I'll do it, I have to do it?
Yeah,
But like,
I mean, I don't know anything else in 5 rounds. Like, you just train for that, you know? Like, we did 5 rounds in here. I mean, you've seen 5 rounds in here, and then generally I tried. You're like Fluffy's a hard guy to train for because there's nobody that really fights like him, you know, that like has that pace. So a lot of my training is like my wrestling rounds are outside sparring. I'll go and I'll get guys. But I mean, you see me spar today, you know, you just like go with a guy until I becomes a dead body. Then.
But Hernandez saw this whole situation through a completely different lens. While everyone else was treating this like some career-defining moment, he kept his perspective ice cold. This wasn't about the spotlight or the hype for him. It was just another box to check on his way to the top. He didn't measure fights by how much noise they made beforehand. He measured them by how much closer they got him to that championship gold. The belt was still the target. Whether beating Strickland put him right there for a title shot, or if he still had to clear out a few more contenders, his approach wasn't changing. Hernandez wasn't interested in taking any shortcuts. He was ready to systematically eliminate whoever stood between him and that undisputed path to the championship.
I think that every fight's as big as you make it, and like, you know what I mean? I'm not where I want to be. I still want to be higher, so I'm still chasing dreams and goals. So like, I don't know. I just look at it like another fight. I'm gonna go out there to prove myself again and try to knock on that door for the title.
Yeah, clearly with every step you take this step forward. Does this fight, Anthony, does this take you to the doorstep of a title fight? Obviously something that you have badly wanted for a long time.
Man, I really hope so. But if not, I mean, there's only 2 more people in front of me to take out. You know what I mean? So like I said, if I got to take every out, then I will. But I mean, then there's going to be no one to clear out the division. So I don't know. I just want the belt. I'll clear that out, and then we go from there.
That same ice-cold focus showed when Hernandez talked about facing Strickland. He gave the former champion his full respect, acknowledging everything he'd accomplished against elite competition and how he'd handled the biggest pressure moments in the sport. But here's what made Hernandez dangerous. He wasn't intimidated by Strickland's resume because none of those victories involved him. In his mind, this fight wiped the slate completely clean. He was stepping into that octagon to prove that this version of Anthony Hernandez presented problems that Strickland had never encountered before.
How do you see Sean as an opponent? Obviously somebody who has won, massive fights, beaten the best of the best. He's been champion. Where do you see him? I mean, is he washed now? Is he still that same dangerous guy? What's this guy?
No, I think he's tough and he's really good. You know what I mean? He's beaten the fuck out of some great people, like you said, but all those people aren't me. So I'm looking to go in there and show what I could do against them.
Michael Bisping dove deep into what made this stylistic clash so compelling when he broke down the numbers. Strickland typically unleashed about 6 strikes per minute with serious knockout power, but Bisping noted those aggressive tendencies left defensive gaps that smart fighters could exploit. Hernandez operated like a surgeon in comparison. Fewer total strikes, but every shot was calculated and precise. Plus, he absorbed way less damage coming back at him. The grappling statistics told the real story, though. Hernandez was averaging 6.5 takedowns every 15 minutes compared to Strickland's measly .73. The clash was perfectly set up, pure aggression and knockout power against surgical precision and wrestling control.
Now, let's have a look at some of the stats going into this one. The average fight length between the pair of these, Sean Strickland's average fight length, 16 minutes, Alexander Hernandez, 11 minutes, 20 seconds. Knockdown average per 15 minutes, 0.24 for Sean Strickland, 0.0 for Alexander Hernandez. So I think that points to the fact that Strickland hits harder. That's fair to say. Strikes landed per minute, Sean's the busier guy, 5.95 to 4.53 per minute for Hernandez. The striking accuracy, Hernandez is way more accurate. He lands at a 62.8% clip, whereas Sean Strickland lands 42.5%. Strikes absorbed per minute. Fluffy also has the better defense. He only gets hit 2.53 times per minute, where Strickland takes 4.57 shots. Striking defense 60% to 49% on Hernandez, and the striking differential plus 138 for Sean Strickland and plus 2.0. Now, when it comes to the grappling, the takedown average per 15 minutes, 6.5 takedowns in a 15.
Digging deeper into those grappling numbers revealed some fascinating contradictions that Bai's Bing highlighted. Despite going for takedowns way more often, Hernandez only converted at 48%. Meanwhile, Strickland didn't shoot much, but when he did, he hit at 64%. Even more interesting, Strickland's takedown defense was actually superior, stuffing 76% of attempts compared to Hernandez's 68%. The submission game showed the same pattern. Hernandez hunted for 1.8 submission attempts per 15 minutes, while Strickland barely registered at 0.16. But that didn't mean weakness on the ground for Strickland. It showed his ability to control and neutralize threats rather than actively hunting for the finish.
Whereas Sean Strickland, 0.73. The takedown accuracy, though, of Fluffy is only 48%. When Sean goes for a takedown, he's way more successful. He gets a takedown 64% of the time. That's because Fluffy goes for so many takedowns. And the takedown defense, Sean is better there. He's got 76.2%, whereas 68.2% on the side of Fluffy Hernandez. And then finally, submission attempts throughout a 15-minute period. 1.8 for Fluffy. I thought that would have been higher. It certainly looks like.
Those grappling statistics became way more significant when you heard the story floating around from Khamzat Chimaev's training camp. Word was that a 21-year-old teammate had supposedly caught Strickland in a rear naked choke while he was preparing for this exact fight. If that rumor had any truth to it, it exposed a specific vulnerability that the cold statistics couldn't show you. For Hernandez, this wasn't just gossip, it was intelligence. It suggested that even someone as battle-tested as Strickland might have exploitable weaknesses in his armor. That kind of information could be exactly what Hernandez needed to dictate the pace and execute his game plan from the opening bell.
Hunter, what were you going to say?
Go ahead.
I want to say 1 week ago we were at PI and we go to extreme sparrings and these guys meet Sean Strickland.
Oh!
Yeah,
How did you meet him?
Yeah.
We were sparring with Sean Strickland. He asked me and Baisangur. Baisangur went with him 3 rounds and he made him tired. And then he says, come on, you. And I went, take him down and submit him. Rear naked choke.
Chael Sonnen painted a dramatic picture of what this fight could mean for both careers. His argument was simple but powerful. If Hernandez didn't just beat Strickland but completely dismantled him, it wouldn't just be another win on his record. It would be a statement that reshapes the entire division. Hernandez wasn't aiming for a decision victory. He wanted total control, keeping Strickland in survival mode for 15 minutes straight. For a former champion like Strickland, getting exposed that badly would send shockwaves through the middleweight rankings. Everyone would have to reevaluate how they viewed him going forward. In that scenario, Hernandez wouldn't just earn a victory. He'd announce himself as a legitimate threat to everyone at the top of the food chain.
Because Hernandez didn't say I'm going to go beat him. So I'm going to beat him up. There's a big difference. I'm going to torture him. I'm going to make him pay. I'm going to out-grapple him. I'm going to outstrike him. I'm going to outpace him. What if Hernandez was to make Sean look bad? I mean, what would that mean? The stakes totally changed. Like this up-and-coming idea of Sean, which by the way, he's a bit of a veteran. He's a former world champion. That really knocks you down. Hard thing to come back from, as a matter of fact. I would go as far as to say that. And these are just stakes. This doesn't put extra pressure on Sean. This is just a reality that I hadn't previously considered.
Sonnen also identified a crucial psychological factor that most people overlooked. The pressure wasn't really on Hernandez at all. Think about his position. Young, rising fast, tons of momentum behind him. He didn't need perfection to keep climbing the ladder. Strickland faced much higher stakes. A bad performance could seriously damage his reputation as both a veteran and former champion. Sonnen understood that perception matters huge in this sport. If Hernandez executed exactly like he promised, it could launch him into stardom while leaving Strickland publicly scrambling to rebuild his image.
And I don't think that Hernandez is going to have to be the guy that's going to have to go out and break the record and beat 11 straight. I just don't. So what do you do? I mean, what do you do? What would happen there? Because it doesn't hurt Hernandez that bad if he gets bumped by Sean, by the way. Hernandez is a young guy. He's got all sorts of paper behind him, and now he's in the main event. Like, Hernandez got a rocket ship tied to his ass. He's going to be a star. But Sean could really fall. And the way you look does matter. What the performance looked like, it does matter.
Bilal Muhammad delivered his analysis with zero sugarcoating. His take on Strickland was brutally simple. Expect trash talk, expect constant jabs, expect over 150 kicks throughout the fight. But Muhammad saw exactly where Hernandez could exploit weaknesses that don't always show up in statistics. Body shots had given Strickland trouble before, and Muhammad warned that walking forward recklessly against an elite wrestler like Hernandez was asking for disaster. His prediction was harsh but clear. Strickland's typical approach wouldn't work against Fluffy. It would leave him wide open for takedowns and constant suffocating pressure, creating the exact fight where Hernandez could control every second.
Strickland, you know what he's going to come out and do. He's going to talk, say stupid stuff to fight weak, but he's going to throw out his jab. He's going to throw out that teep. I'm going to say over under 50 teep kicks for Strickland. Fluffy's shown that he has a weakness in the body. He's gotten hurt to the body a couple times. Kevin Holland finished him with a body shot. So for Strickland, you got to keep him at that jab length. He does a lot of walking forward. I don't think that's going to help him in this fight, because moving forward on a guy that wants to shoot on you and wrestle on you, it's going to give him openings to get the takedown. I'm picking Fluffy. I think that pace is going to be too hard to keep up with. I just want to see him break Strickland.
William Welch from MMA On Point identified another potential problem for Strickland that most analysts missed. Welch pointed out that Strickland rarely shot for his own takedowns and often stood with locked out knees. That posture could make it much easier for Hernandez to impose his wrestling dominance. Welch hoped to see Hernandez push a relentless pace, forcing Strickland into grappling exchanges and never letting him find his rhythm. But Welch also respected Strickland's ground skills, acknowledging he was far from helpless in grappling situations. His final assessment predicted an incredible high-level chess match, with both fighters needing to make constant adjustments.
Sean.
Oh. It's not a bad bet. I mean, yeah, I don't really see Sean Strickland shooting much on him. Strickland's been fighting with his knees locked out. He has those puppies locked
that
out.
That makes me funny. You're exactly right.
Tall as hell. Hopefully we see Hopefully we see Fluffy pushing the pace on him, making him wrestle, making him get up a lot. But Strickland is a good grappler, and God, I'm fired up for the fight. It's going to be.
The discussion even got into venue specifics, asking about cage size, since this was happening at the Apex rather than a massive arena. The MMA guru saw this detail as perfect for Strickland's teep kicks, those sharp front kicks he loves throwing. Hernandez's body had been exposed in previous fights, and his hunched forward posture left openings that a smart striker like Strickland could definitely capitalize on. Even though Hernandez entered as the betting favorite, the guru felt that a steady stream of precision front kicks and body shots might swing the entire fight in Strickland's direction, making it much more tactical and unpredictable than the odds suggested. Mario Batista viewed this as a pure endurance test, predicting both men would push maximum pace from start to finish. When forced to pick, Batista leaned towards Strickland, believing his experience and tempo control would provide the decisive advantage in what promised to be a non-stop war. When the dust settled, Sean Strickland proved those predictions right, stopping Anthony Hernandez by TKO in the third round and validating everyone who backed his pressure and veteran experience over Hernandez's impressive rise.